Hey guys, welcome back to Pop Culture with Pat. Today we're going to be talking about The Fallout, which is the directorial debut of Megan Park and stars Jenna Ortega and Maddie Ziegler. After a tragic event, a group of high school students are forced to deal with the aftermath and how this tragedy will affect not only their relationships with everyone around them, but them as individuals as well. So apparently this movie actually had a film festival run, last year in 2021, and now it's, finally hitting HBO Max. It's getting, a wide release for everybody. So I didn't really know anything about this movie, up until literally the day it was getting released. I've been following Jenna Ortega, and I saw her post about it, that it was hitting HBO Max. And so I was like, oh, cool, let me check out the trailer. And, I was like, all right, this, definitely looks like something I'd be interested in. I would say for you guys, if you have not seen the trailer, I would recommend going into this thing, just don't watch the trailer because it kind of gives away like a certain aspect of the plot. But I will give you guys a heads up that this definitely does deal with some heavy material. So just a warning as far as, that goes. As far as performances go, so Jenna Ortega, she just absolutely knocks it out of the park with her performance here. I've been a fan of Jenna before. I saw her first, I think it was The Babysitter 2, was the first time that I saw her in the film. Liked her in that. Then, she was just in Scream. Thought she was really, great in that. She's, obviously in this film as well. And I think this, if you're not familiar with her up to this point, this is, I think, going to be a breakout role for her because she is just so good in this. She's also got X coming out this year with A24. And I believe the live-action Wednesday Addams series that's coming to Netflix. I think that's coming out this year. So she's definitely got a pretty big year set up. But if you guys have not seen her before, I think this is going to be a breakout, performance for her. She is incredible in this role. She plays the main character of the film. Well, her name is Vada, and basically this tragedy happens, which I'm not going to, tell you guys what that is. Just kind of want you guys to, watch this film because I think it'll leave a bigger impact that way. But she plays this main character of, Vada this tragedy happens, right early on in the movie, and basically throughout the rest of the film, we see, kind of deal with the aftermath of, the effects of that and how, the trauma, affects her, not only her, but like her relationships with her friends, her family, and even people that she didn't really know before. So this movie is definitely a character study of someone that went through a traumatic experience and just, what kind of effect it has on them, after that. As they're trying to get back to somewhat of a normal life. So that's basically the idea of this film, and there's just so many incredible moments that, she delivers as far as this, this character. There's like moments where, she wakes up, from like a nightmare, she's, breathing really hard. There's scenes where, cuts to her, she's in the shower where it's just really dark, and you get that sense of, loneliness, from her character. And she has this little sister in the film, which the sister is not, part of this event. And so, and obviously there's, a little bit of like an age difference between like the two characters. So when, Vada, when she's kind of, trying to deal with what happened, you see, the two characters and how they're kind of like handling the situation. Obviously the sister didn't go through the events, Vada did. And for most of the film, you can tell the sister doesn't really, fully grasp, what's happening or what's going on with her sister. However, later on in the movie, there is one scene where, you find out, the sister is starting to like feel like, Vada's a little bit, distant from her. And there's one scene where they finally, sit down and talk and kind of, just let everything out. The sister, she breaks down to Vada and just, it kind of explains what she's feeling. And holy shit, guys, that scene in particular was one of the scenes where, like, myself, I broke down myself. I lost it. I can't remember a movie, outside of, like, some of the, recent comic book movies that were, just crying. And that was more for, for being happy or, there was some sad moments there, but not like this. That moment I was just like, holy shit. So, I mean, great performances from both of those, actresses right there. And there's several other scenes throughout the movie where it's just like, you're dealing with some really, really, heavy, deep shit. And it's just like, man, it's a story that needs to be told, but it's definitely at times it can be a little tough. You also, you have like her mom and dad. The mom, and they all mean, very well. It's not like she has like a bad relationship, with anyone in her family. But you can, you see the mom. She's, she keeps like asking her if she's okay. Really trying to like be there. But you can see there's, a disconnect, between them. Vada's not really willing to open up to her mom, so you kind of have, that relationship. Then you also have the dad, who's a little bit more, relaxed, and you get that sense that Vada's a little bit, or more willing to open up to his character. And there's a great moment later on in the film where they're like up on like a hillside, kind of out in the middle of nowhere, like in one part of like the town or the city, and they're up there. And they just start, like shouting and screaming, out loud, just, letting their emotions out, basically. And I thought that was, that was a great scene. Definitely more of a, like an uplifting moment in the film, because even though this does deal with, some heavy shit, there is, like I said, there is some stuff in here that's, it's pretty tough to watch and go through. But the film also does a really good job of balancing having some, uplifting moments, or, a couple little moments of, comedy like here and there. So it isn't just like you're just sitting there and you're just like, oh my God, this is like a miserable experience to go through. No, they do a good job of balancing that out, which I really appreciated. You also have Maddie Ziegler in this film, who I was like, at first I was like, why does she look so familiar? And she used to be in a bunch of like Sia's like music videos, so I was like, oh, okay, like that's where I recognize her from. But she plays a character named Mia, who the character of Mia and Vada, they actually, before this event happened, they weren't, really friends like at all. They didn't talk to each other. There's actually another character named Quentin too. Same thing, didn't really talk to either one of these characters. But after the events, of what happens, all three of them, become much closer and actually become friends because of this, this tragedy. So it's just, it's interesting to see those relationships, start to develop because, you had this tragic event happen. So even though you have this, this bad thing that happened, you have some good things that come out of that, which, that was nice to see. And you get to see each one of these characters dealing with the aftermath, of this event in their own separate ways, which was something, again, that I really appreciated, just getting to see those different aspects. Because, I mean, everyone handles, trauma or, tragedy. They handle it in their own, different ways. And this movie does a good job of making it, so that not one way is like the only way that you can handle like a situation. So I thought they did a good job of, of exploring that too. And then you also, you get to see, Vada, like she becomes friends with these two characters, but then there's some of her other friends that she kind of becomes a little bit more, distant with because of, what happened, because they're handling the situation in their own way. So it's kind of putting these characters on their own separate path. So like I said, it's definitely, a character study. This character goes through this traumatic event and then, starts, making these different decisions that are gonna, change her life, definitely like maybe some ways and for the worse, maybe some ways, for better. But it's just really interesting to see this character going through all these different emotions, after this happened, trying to get back to a somewhat, normal life. And the story, the script like itself, it's something that was just like, it felt so personal, to me. I've never been in this particular situation in my life, and I can't even begin to imagine, what that would feel like and just how messed up you would be after going through something like this. And it's something that happens quite a bit. So that makes it, really kind of scary, just because, it happens like quite often. It isn't something that's like, oh, this doesn't really happen that often. No, like you hear about it all the time. So that, I think that made it much more like a personal, story for me. And again, I thought that the way that, they handled the story with all of these, these different characters, getting to see their different perspectives of how they're handling this situation, going through, the grieving process, dealing with, this trauma. I thought that was just handled so well in this movie. So that was a really big plus for me. And as far as like the directing goes, this, like I said, this is the directorial debut of Megan Park, which watching this movie, I was like, wow, what a excellent debut. As far as like the cinematography goes, there were some shots in here that were just like so gorgeous. There's one that comes out, to the top of my mind in particular, where Vada, it has her and her sister, they're in this room, and you see, Vada she's kind of just, chilling there, just, just kind of just being there, just existing, not really doing a whole lot. And right kind of like over in the other part of like the room, you see her sister who's on TikTok trying to, make like videos and stuff like that. And it just shows, the contrast of, you have these two members in this family. One went through, this horrible situation. The other one didn't, and she's a lot younger. And you just, you see those two. I thought that was just, such a great shot. So that's one that comes to, the top of my head. There's also one later on in the movie where the characters of Vada and Mia, they're in like a parking lot. It's at nighttime, and just like some of the lighting in there, the way the whole scene was shot was just absolutely gorgeous and beautiful. So I thought, as far as a debut, like I said, such an amazing film to start off, her directing career. So I thought she did a fantastic job. So overall, guys, I think the Fallout is, while it definitely deals with, some really heavy material. Again, I've said that like several times in this review, but I just want to give you a heads up, going into the movie so you kind of know what to expect. It deals with, traumatic like situations. So even though it deals with a lot of that, and like parts of it can be a little hard to watch, but I said they do a good job of, of balancing, that out overall with some lighter moments in the film too. I think that this is, such an important movie that, so many people, I think, need to, see this film, because it deals with something that, happens a lot, in this country, throughout the world, as well. So I think that this movie has a lot to say, and it gave us the story of, the victims, of the people that, survived this tragedy, and just, what they're going through in the aftermath of it, and how it just affects people in so many different ways. So it, overall, it was just a gorgeous movie with a great story. You care about all the characters. The film, like I said, overall just shot, incredibly well. As far as like a score goes, guys, I'm going to give this a 9.5 out of 10. And I mentioned this in my my top 10 most anticipated movies of the year, where it's like you go into the year, sometimes you don't know about certain films, and these films they come out of nowhere, it seems, surprise you, and they end up being one of your favorite movies of the year. It's only it's only January, we're about to hit February here, but I think this movie has a pretty damn good chance, at being on my top 10 favorite movies at the end of the year. So, have you guys heard of The Fallout? Because I feel like it's something that, even though it's on HBO Max and not everywhere around the world, has access to like that yet, but I feel like it's a movie that's not being talked about as much, and which is kind of sad. I hope as many of you guys, get a chance to watch this, because like I said, I think it's such an important film, and it's just, such a beautiful film as well. So have you guys, heard of The Fallout? If not, is this something that you are going to check out? If you have seen it, I definitely want to hear your thoughts, down below in the comments. So let me know what you thought, overall. If you guys are new to the channel, as always, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.